Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. The last lap of the program. I've still got Dr. Vincent Wani, Director of Research at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, here with me in the studio as we analyze a status report by the LCCI on the effects of the CBN Forex policy with regards to the restriction of about 41 items from accessing Forex from its official window. Dr. Wani, thank you so much for sticking with me.
Again.
So we were talking, rather you had started talking about the effects of this exclusion on the free trade zone. Could you continue?
As we speak, the operators in the free trade zone have been either regulated or legislated out of business because of this singular policy. You know, the law that set up the free trade zone hold that incentives such as no tax, no fees, no fine, you know, they are not banned by central bank Forex regulation. You know, all of these are clearly stated black and white in the law.
But then the laws of, you know, establishing, part of the laws, correct me if I'm wrong, establishing a free trade zone is to also encourage more domestic participation.
Of course, and you see a lot of Nigerians jump into the free trade zone because there is no tax, you know, there is no fee, no fine, you know, they have access to free funds. Free funds meaning that these operators in the free trade zone, they don't patronize the interbank market, no. But BDC, free fund, you know, the ability to utilize their, what is it called, export earnings to do whatever they want to use it for, you know, pay in dollar and receive dollar or whatever currency, you know, that is why they call it free trade zone. See, free trade zone have a coordinate jurisdiction relative to CBN. It means that it is a country within a country. CBN doesn't have an oversight about how they transact their businesses in terms of paying dollar and receiving dollar. Right now, businesses in the free trade zone have been stopped, and if policy is allowed to continue over the next few months, of course, the activities in the free trade zone would be in near shutdown or complete shutdown. You know, but because with job losses and investment loss implications.
Dr. Wani, when you started this conversation, you highlighted the fact that there's been continuous dialogue between organized private sector, a larger business community, and the Central Bank of Nigeria with regards reviewing some of those items on the list. But don't you think that it deserves to be supported, at least for now, in the short term, to achieve what the Central Bank is trying to do, and that is to preserve the foreign reserves?
We've been on this since July. This is October, you know, and we've said, no, we identify with this policy, no problem, but it's the implementation. See, we just call it 41 items. In our own books, it's like 700 and something lines of production that have been bad. You know, so it's for us to choose what we want to choose. But this policy is not consistent with the objective of the current administration to create jobs, because it has a job consequence, it has a revenue consequence. As we're losing revenue from the oil sale proceed, we're also losing revenue from the ability of companies to pay tax, from the ability of individuals to pay their payee to government and even custom revenue. So it's for the authorities to see what is best for us and them and do something.
So what is LCI recommending with regards to alternative
We have made so many
policies?
recommendations. One of the recommendations is to avoid credibility issue. First of all of those transactions that were in the pipeline before this policy came on board have to pass. 1. 2, some of these products, look at, we're not talking about toothpick here, but because we have decided to reduce this policy to a toothpick policy, it's beyond toothpick, please. We need to define the HS code for these products. For example, fabrics. There are fabrics for you and I to wear, and there are some that the furniture makers need to use it to cover the material. There are ones that mattress or foam makers need to cover, you know, something needs to be done. And some products like tomato, like oil palm, that need 5 years or 8 years before we'll be able to live up to domestic demand. We need to look at defining timelines for some of those things, and it needs stakeholders involvement, both the physical side, the monetary side, and the private sector. We need to go back to the drawing board and look at this policy one by one, product by product, line by line.
Dr. Wani, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Lafarge Africa PLC is preaching build safe, live safe as a strategy to curb building collapse in Nigeria. The company recently held a media engagement in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, where the management, journalists, as well as professionals in the building industry discussed best practices that should be enforced in the industry. Now, at the end of that session, the agreement was that Nigerians should engage only professionals in constructing both residential and corporate buildings. Channels Television correspondent Ini Thompson reports.
A conference room in the premises of Lafarge Cement in Oregun area of Lagos has been turned to a venue for brainstorming between the company executive and representatives of the major media organizations operating in the state. First, introduction of the company by the General Manager Independent Power Projects for Lafarge Africa PLC, Mr. Lanre Opakunle. He shares facts like the company's operation running on about 113 million euros annually with 115,000 employees, and hits a high point when he shares the plan on power.
I tell you that across the different sites that you see here, we have 233 megawatts of power in them. But specifically in Ewekoro, we have 90 megawatts power plant, and we use 50 megawatts. So as a socially responsible organization, what we have decided is we are going to put that excess power capacity onto the national grid for Nigerians to use. I need it in my house. I know the power situation has improved, but it needs to get much, much better, and it can be better.
Then attention moves to a product which the company says will solve a lot of inconsistencies on building sites. The Director of Operations, Lafarge Ready Mix, Mr. Fred Amobi, presents as a solution to the challenges of manual mixing, which is used in 85% of the construction sites in the country.
There's a volume stock on the site. I don't know whether you are talking about road construction. You see a lot of our road blocked. Blocked with what? Heaps of what? Sand. Let your neighbor not start building. Once your neighbor start building, you either probably park outside because you may not be able to pass. Because he has to put the gravel on there, he has to put the sand there. You can abuse him as much as you can, but that's the reality.
Consequently, he presents a ready-mix package with the advantages of saving time, space, consistency in mixing proportions, and more. But beyond the words, the journalists were kitted up in personal safety kits and directed on a tour in the company. The tour gives them the opportunity to experience manual mixing with components which had already been measured.
Tomorrow it might be including your own house, and you come for a site walk around.
Then cubes of concrete, which was done days before, is tested before the journalists.
Give it some time. You can see it's shaped.
Back to brainstorming. A panel of building practitioners, real estate professionals, journalists, and members of the executive of Lafarge discuss build safe, live safe.
But what is this best practice? That the buildings are constructed by professionals, supervised by professionals, initiated by professionals.
Lafarge seems to have emphasized the challenge with employing the services of untrained artisans, and they say already they have programs packaged specifically for them.
We work with them directly with them through their association, Nigeria Institute of Builders, and other professional associations. We also have special cements specifically to meet their needs. We call it superset. We provide to them and we train them, and we do this countrywide across all regions. It's a very intensive program we do. Here around Lagos, in the west, in the east, in the north, everywhere.
All this, according to Lafarge, is to achieve sustainable building practices with the collaboration of other professionals in the building industry.
At Lafarge is very involved in training artisans, and so we train every year thousands of block makers in building practices and ensuring that they have the right tools. We also have vocational training, whereby we also ensure that these people are trained in the various professional segments that they're involved in, and we collaborate all the time with the professional institutes, the Institute of Structural Engineers, and just ensuring that we're taking the conversation forward.
After sharing so much information on build safe, live safe, Lafarge says it's now the responsibility of the media to share it to Nigerians. Ini Thompson reporting for Channels Television.
Well, it's really all about achieving sustainable building practices, whether you're a professional or you're an artisan in the field, all part of the value chain. Remember, achieving competitiveness and sustainability is the watchword. That's it on Business Morning for today. Many thanks for staying with me and the rest of the team. Enjoy your day. I'm Harriet Agbenyi. Bye-bye.